everybody. I'm pleased to be joined by Andrew Jones, the co-host of the Pickle Podcast, comedian, and massive Milwaukee Bucks fan. How's it going, Andrew?
Oh, it's going good. We won last night. I'm feeling great.
Yeah. So speaking of the Bucks, they get a big win on Thursday night at the time of this recording, or I guess it'd been the night before because we're doing this on Friday. They get a big win despite not having Drew Holiday. What did you think of the performance by the Bucks on Thursday night, Andrew?
You know, I'm disappointed every time I see him play because last year we were almost barely losing ever, and now we're losing all the time to random teams. So it's frustrating, but we got the win last night, and Giannis played good. He's like the only one that's been doing that lately. So I was happy about it. Get that W.
So the trade deadline is approaching pretty quickly here. We're less than a month away. Who do you think the Bucks should acquire? Or first of all, do you think the Bucks will do anything? And second of all, who do you think they should acquire?
I think they have to do something. They have to do something because, I mean, we're rocking a bad record for what we could do. I mean, acquiring probably LeBron James, just get him on the team. He's not doing so hot in LA. Just come to Milwaukee, eat some cheese, whatever. But I mean, I'll take anything, man. I'll take Andre Drummond. I'll take Kyle Lowry. I'll take Blake Griffin, man. I'll take anything right now.
I know this is down the road, but if the Bucks can't do much when the postseason comes around, do you think in the offseason they could acquire like a blockbuster trade, like maybe Damien Lillard, maybe? And I know that's really far fetched, but do you think they could do something like that?
I think if they don't win this year, I think they're going to blow up the team. And I think that Middleton and Lopez are good enough trade assets that we could probably get something good for them. Dame Lillard would be insane. I would love to see Dame on the Bucks, but he's so loyal to Portland, it's hard to think that he would leave.
Well, I mean, I don't know how well this trade would work because they traded so much for Drew Holiday, but could you see him trading like Brooke Lopez, Chris Middleton, I can't say now, DiVincenzo, Pat Connaughton, probably 3 first-round picks in 2024 through like 2027 and 2 second-round picks for maybe Dame Lillard and Yusuf Nurkic and like Gary Trent Jr. or something like that?
Oh, I would take that. I'd be fine with that. I mean, we need to win now or Giannis leaves. Even though he just signed, like he could always demand a trade. So I'm down to throw the kitchen sink at it. DiVincenzo is going to be a big, because he's so young, you don't know what he's going to do. I think that's a huge trading piece. So is Middleton. Lopez, if you don't actually watch the Bucks, he's probably a good trading piece. But if you watch him, he doesn't do anything but stand at the 3 and just shoot whatever he feels like whenever he wants to. It's not a good thing to have on a team. But I would love Nurkic. I love Nurkic. So I would love him and obviously Lillard or even McCollum. I mean, something. I'll take anything at this point. Let's just get a championship and then we can figure it out.
So again, if the Bucks don't finish or if they don't make it the finals or don't win this upcoming or this season, do you think Mike Budenholzer is gone?
I mean, I'm almost wanting him gone because he can do good in the regular season. That's been his MO from day one. Is he had the Hawks, they had the best record in the league, and then they got swept by LeBron. Bucks were the best record in the NBA 2 years in a row and got knocked out. I mean, I know you can blame that a little bit on Giannis not being able to understand that they're going to build a wall in the playoffs and you need to pass. You can't just run through that. But yeah, I definitely think he'd be gone. I think we'd scoop up whoever gets fired at the end of the year, so I don't know who that would be, but I could see that happening for sure.
Maybe bring back Jason Kidd, maybe. I don't know. That probably would, you probably wouldn't like that, but wouldn't be
I love him. Like I love Jason Kidd, but he was a horrible coach. I mean, he was the one that first said, I want Giannis to play point guard. So that was cool, but our record did not, like as soon as he left, we got better. So I don't know. I like him, but not as the coach. I won't. I'll take Phil Jackson. Actually, that's who I pick.
There is a few decent assistant coaches around. I think was it Chauncey Billups is an assistant with the Clippers. I want to say Kenny Atkinson is assistant as well. There's a few other really good assistants that I think could get the job, and maybe you could get someone in TV, maybe like with Stan Van Gundy last year when he went to New Orleans. There's a
Oh, there
few
you
other
go.
options, but we'll see what happens. There's the season. We still got a lot left or the season is still, we got a lot left to go. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, the main thing is taking down the Nets, man. That's going to be our biggest thing right now. Is it's hard to beat a superstar team like that. We need to match that superstar team with something.
Do you think right now, it's probably no, but do you think the Bucks could beat the Sixers, or not the Sixers? Do you think the Bucks could beat the Nets right now if the playoffs started today?
No,
No.
no, maybe win two, maybe. But yeah, we can barely beat. We can barely beat the Warriors. We can barely beat. We can barely beat teams that aren't even doing well. So a team like that, no way.
So let's pivot away from the Bucks for a little bit. Right now, kind of a surprising team that's not very good this year is the Boston Celtics. What do you think is the deal, right? I mean, they got two All-Stars, but yet they aren't even in the playoffs right now in an Eastern Conference that's not very good.
Yeah, I think lacking. Well, Marcus Smart's hurt. He got hurt right away. I think that's huge. Kemba's been hurt on and off. I think Kemba's just okay. I don't think he's as good as people say he is because everybody thinks he's just insane. And plus your center is Tristan Thompson, Daniel Tice, but they have that Robert Williams III coming off the bench.
Yep.
That dude is legit. Like they need to start him and trade Kemba and get some other pieces.
Maybe they could acquire Russell Westbrook maybe from Washington if the Wizards are willing to basically just, blow the team up maybe.
Yeah. The Wizards only have Beal and Westbrook pretty much. So you could get Kemba Walker, you could get Daniel Tice, you get some Pritchard, I think is good off the bench. Yeah, Westbrook, Westbrook just seems like one of those guys that is always going to be somebody that's great, but never goes to the championship. I see Donovan Mitchell getting a championship before Russell Westbrook, just because Westbrook doesn't know when to shoot and when not to shoot, and that's killed him his whole career.
Speaking of the Jazz, did you expect them to have the best record in the conference? And of course, what we saw from them Wednesday night, they just blew out the Lakers. Did you see the Jazz being this good?
No, and I don't understand what happened because they didn't do anything. Like they didn't add anything. Just Mike Conley's actually playing good all of a sudden. And I love the Shaq Mitchell thing where he basically said, I don't ever expect you to win a championship. I love that because Mitchell's response was, okay. And he just said, let's go. I'm going after it now. I love that. And so, yeah, and you got Niang from Iowa State on there. So, I'm about it. I like them. I think they're good.
Do you think Donovan Mitchell should be considered for the MVP voting right now? Because not a lot of people are considering him to be in that, but I think with how well he's played this year, he at least should get some consideration.
For MVP, he's maybe 8th or 9th, probably on the list for me, just because Mike Conley's so good, and Gobert's good, and Boban's good, and MVP race this year. I have no idea. I don't honestly know who's leading because Steph Curry is averaging better numbers than his MVP season, and he's not even in the talk. And he's leading a team that isn't that good, honestly, to a pretty good record, honestly, for what they have.
Yeah, I think right now Joel Embiid is the leading candidate for MVP. But you don't agree with that?
No, he's great. I just don't like him. I've never liked Embiid. His rookie year, he used to go to like cities and tweet like horrible things about that city. So I remember one night he went to Milwaukee and he said, can't wait to get out of this like dumpster city that smells like trash or something. And I was like, what are you doing? They were awful. So I don't like him personally. He's playing amazing. I've always hated the Sixers. I know a few of my buddies, Aaron Moeller, he's a huge Sixers fan, but I hate him. I absolutely hate the Sixers. So I hope he doesn't get it. I would much rather see LeBron get it. Like, I mean, obviously I want Giannis to get it a third time, but they're not playing that good. But I say LeBron, man, he's like 47 years old and he's doing this. I mean, my knees at 33 can't do anything he does. So
I don't know. It seems like LeBron was in the NBA or is like number one. And then after Anthony Davis went down, the Lakers have, completely fallen off. And I feel like that's going to really hurt him if he can't, do much without Anthony Davis. So I feel like Anthony Davis should be in the consideration for MVP. But, we'll see what happens with the writers because I feel like he really if you ever listen to Dan Patrick, he was talking about how he thinks LeBron really wants the MVP this year. He really wants it. He wants to get that fifth. He wants to tie Jordan for league MVPs. But I mean, with the way he's played the last week or two, ever since Anthony Davis went out, he has just not been the same. So I don't think he should be considered the front runner. I just think Joel Embiid, because of that, is the top. But it's not saying LeBron's playing bad. It's just that he's not been the same as Joel Embiid. Do you have any more to say about that?
Well, I feel like Lakers team right now is exactly like the Cavs were the very last year before LeBron left, where it was like Jose Calderon as the point guard with Tristan Thompson as this, like just a team that should never have gone to the finals and LeBron led them. But I mean, one person that we need to talk about is Jokic. He is killing it right now for the Nuggets.
It feels like, though, the Nuggets aren't having that same season they did last year. And maybe it's because, Jamal Murray has not been the same. And I think he's been a little bit injured or banged up.
Yep.
But I feel like he's similar to Curry. I don't think he's going to get that same recognition just because the Nuggets haven't had that same success as like guys like Joel Embiid has had and even guys like Donovan Mitchell. But I think Jokic has been having a great season. So we'll see what happens. I think speaking of a team that is struggled, and we all thought they'd be really good, is the Miami Heat. I mean, they did such a great job in the bubble, took the Lakers to 6 games without a healthy Bam Adebayo or Gordon Dragic, and they've done their play has not been great. What do you think is the matter with the Miami Heat?
I think they figured out Duncan Robinson. I think they figured out Tyler Hero's game. I think that, Jimmy Butler's been gone for a long part of the season because of, I think it was COVID, or maybe it was an injury. I can't remember, but I think they'll get it together. I don't think they'll do as well as last year, but I mean, Jimmy Butler's the man. So I'm sure they'll figure it out, but I think they were so unexpected that no one understood what was going on. And they could just, boom, Tyler Hero, boom, Duncan Robinson. Now they know that, so they stop those. And then they say, Jimmy, you score all the points, and he can only do so much.
Before we switch topics, who do you like? I know it's really early right now, but who do you like for your finals matchup, and who do you like taking the NBA title this season?
Who do I like, or who do I think is going to be there?
Who do you think?
I think it will be I think the Lakers might pull off some LeBron nonsense before the season's over, like where some really good guy on a bad team gets bought out, like Cousins, for example. Like, he's free now, so I see them getting Cousins and just being unstoppable, and he plays like that one year he was the Pelicans, where he was breaking records and stuff. Like, I could see that happening. So I'm gonna go Lakers. I don't see the Jazz. I don't see maybe the Nuggets, but I don't see a lot of other teams. I say Lakers. And unfortunately, I think the Nets. I think once Kevin Durant comes back, there's no stopping that team. I know they don't have defense, but when you score 150, 160 points a game and the other team's off, in a 7-game series, it's over. Like, they got it. So, unfortunately, I'm going to say Nets, and then I'm going to say in the finals, I think Nets take it all.
Who do you like to win the MVP?
So I want Giannis for the 3 times in a row. But unless something happens where they do a lot better, I don't see that happening. I want LeBron as MVP because he's so old, but I mean, I want Luka.
Yeah.
I want the youngest MVP ever. That's what I want.
Well, I feel like Luka could he has a great chance of winning the MVP, but they need to win a few more games and kind of get in that 6th, 5th range, because I think when Russell Westbrook won the MVP, the Thunder were the 6th or 7th at the time. So they weren't great, but he was still able to capture it. So I mean, that's what Luka could do, and I feel like he has a great chance of it. And we'll see what the Mavericks do in the trade deadline, because like you said, we were talking earlier before the podcast started. You think they need to acquire someone, just anybody to help them out. I mean,
anybody.
Yeah.
Anybody. Yeah, they need it. I feel so bad because the dude is so good. Like, the dude, I think, for a while people were talking. I think Curry is also one of the best players ever, best shooter ever by far. But Luka's game is just like, there's very little bad spots or missing parts of it, and he's only 22. Like, I think he's 22. He might even be younger than that, but I mean, he's just insane. If he gets a solid team around him, his stats will dip a little bit, but I think he doesn't care about stats. I think he wants that W. And man, make a trade for Zach LaVine, make a trade for Andre Drummond, Kyle Lowry, anything. Like, just get that man some help, because if he gets another superstar that actually plays games, unlike Porzingis, I think they'll be so hard to beat.
Well, I definitely agree with you there, and I think Luka Doncic is one of the best players in the league. They need to get some help for him. So, as you know, or as the listeners know, you are the co-host of the Pickle Podcast. We've had Kyle on once to talk about some UFC and some NFL talk. Do you have any other insights on what you guys are? Or can you tell us more about the show?
So the show it was Kyle who approached me. He had an idea for doing a podcast, and I've done stand-up comedy for I had stopped doing it, and quarantine also stopped it as well. But Kyle came up to me and had talked to me, and he said, I want to do a podcast, and I said, no way, nope, not doing a podcast. I know a bunch of comedians that have done a podcast, and nobody listens to me. Like, nobody cares. Like, nobody cares about what you're doing. And he was like, no, we'll do this legit. And I was like, okay, whatever. I'm like, well, let me know. And then like a month later, I don't even think it was a month, it was probably 2 weeks. He was like, hey, I got cameras, I got a logo, I got a backdrop, I got this, I got that. And it blew me away. And so we did the first one. I was the first guest on the Pickle Podcast. What we do on the Pickle Podcast is we interview a guest, usually a local person doing something that we feel like people should know about. We just had Young Creatives on, who's a duo that are filmmakers, photographers, artists, and I mean, it's incredible how they're super young. They're doing big things. We had Tone DeBoss, who's a local rapper who's blowing up right now, honestly, and he's all over Spotify. We had Taylor Case, who's doing a cooking show. We've had me on, but yeah, it's been awesome, and Kyle's worked super hard on it. We both honestly worked super hard on it lately, and it's something to be super proud of. And so if anybody gets a chance, go follow the Pickle Podcast, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Just put it on in the background on YouTube. Now we're monetized, so we get paid for that. Just put it on while you're reading a book or something. You don't even have to listen. Just get us that cash,
All right. That was Andrew Jones, the host of the Pickle Podcast, a big Bucks fan, a comedian. And thanks for coming on the show, Andrew. And have a great day.
Absolutely, man. Love being here. Thank you.
All right. Don't forget, guys, don't forget to subscribe, review, rate. Also check out the Pickle Podcast. You can pretty much find them anywhere on anywhere per podcast or listened. And of course, you can check them out on YouTube. Thanks for listening to the Sports Town Podcast, or the STP Pod for short. If you want to check out more videos of the Sports Town Podcast, click on the left. If you want to subscribe to the channel, click on the right.